In 1968, poet-playwright Amiri Baraka traveled to Boston. During his visit, he talked with black students from Tuft University about what he called pseudo-blacks and the Tom within.
Before we start talking about Toms and Negroes and whatnot, we have to deal with the first Tom and the first Negro, which is ourselves. See, if we get ourselves together first, then everything else is taken care of. See, a lot of times we spend business putting down Toms and Negroes when we be the Tom and the Negro first, see. And all of us have been programmed by this white boy and have this Negroism in us in varying degrees, you see. So if we work on ourselves and set a strong example to ourselves first, you see, then we can move to, there are all kinds of Toms. There are Toms who are just sick in the mind, who just like white people, Then there are Toms who do it to survive, who try to deal. And, who your father's alive, by making the right move, There's a difference between sickness and necessity. So you have to learn to differentiate between that.
How do you go about stamping out pseudo-blackness? First of all, in the self, and then in your people. In other words, this community especially is notorious for pseudo-blackness. I mean, you can go out, you can see anybody with the fro, you can see him with the dashiki, and you can see him with that white woman on their arm or with that white man on their arm,
First of all, the only thing you can have, you need a value system, You need a definite system of values that you can relate to so that you know if you are not doing one thing, you see what I mean, that you have done something that is absolutely counter to this value system, you see. This society has a value system, you see, and we sometimes have been sucked into it where we claim it or we've internalized parts of it, you see what I mean? Like, for instance, aesthetically, or economically, or politically, where we've like internalized white people's value system. But we have a black value system, which you usually can find in your most natural understanding of who you are and what you are. You see, in an emotional sense, if you rely on what your natural instinct is prior to being trained to accept white values, see what I mean? Then you always be closer to a black value. But on the conscious side, you have to go by a value system. You need a value system. This is why of all the programs that I've heard, Karinga's program appeals to me because he outlines a definite system of values which the black man, to make sure that he is being black, is going to utilize. Like we say, we're trying to be black. Don't give ourselves the egoistic luxury of saying we black, but always in a world full of devils and sick Negroes, we're trying to be black. And we use blackness to represent the ultimate goodness and the ultimate reality and the ultimate truth. So that to say that's black or try to be black, brother, is to raise yourself above, the filth of easy accommodation in the white world. Now, I understand what you're saying. But if a dashiki and if an afro represents something that's going to be deadly to a Negro with a white woman, or some Negro woman with a white man, if that suggests something more than just style or easy accommodation, then you have less problem with it. You understand? Also, you have to have such a value system among yourselves that that person will be outcast. You see what I mean? Like Mao Tse-tung says about letting liberalism slide. You know what I mean? Now, if you see this dude walking down this white woman, you don't say anything to him, you're a liberal. See what I mean? That's why liberals are to be, looked at askance, because they let it go. See what I mean? You say, well, I'm not evil. No, but you let it slide. See what I mean? The first thing you ought to say, you trying to be black, brother? You know, is that what you're trying to do with that devil on your arm? You know, you owe it to yourself to say that, you know, first. But also, not on a personal side, but think of it as the good of the nation. See, we get embarrassed by talking about ourselves as a nation. But also, nationalists have to understand that many times their programs are not together. That's why the people don't come, because their program's not together. You know, a lot of nationalists, first thing they want to do is they want to stop black people from being that and make them some other kind of quasi-person that's all this and all that. You have to deal with black people the way they are and try to expand their thing, you know, to include revolution. Now, you know, the artists, we have been working, you know, we have been doing some things. You know, there's still Negroes walking around talking about individualism, but we have been consciously working black art, a revolutionary concept, so that James Brown is walking around singing "I'm black and I'm proud," and Hank Ballard singing, you got to watch that process out, and whatnot, whatnot. See, these are very conscious victories and strides as far as the revolutionary nationalist artists, we think, you see. And maybe if we had shot James Brown when he came out with America, he wouldn't have had a chance to make "I'm black and I'm proud," you know, I mean, so you have to, you know, understand that it's an evolutionary process too. You see what I mean? And first of all, the blood appreciates creature comforts, which he don't have as many as he sees advertised all around him. So he's striving for that too, you know. He want to live good, he wants to be comfortable, like everybody else, you understand? And to be, you know, to make the revolution, it requires sacrifice. But the first sacrifices have to be made by those people who call themselves revolutionaries. You know, you can't ask anybody to sacrifice anything if you're not going to sacrifice.
You know, the reason some folk don't recognize